One for movie Stubs, please.
Hey, Spencer.
Hey, Chris.
Hey.
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, I got that call from you. You sounded really jazzed about something. Like you had something really exciting planned for us to do that was, it sounded like a really original, creative project that was really going to light the world on fire. So tell me, what did you have in mind?
We're going to review movies.
No.
Did you see Movie?
It was very boring.
Yeah.
I really got nothing out of this movie. It was kind of convoluted. It deflated its own suspense so many times that I was never feeling really tense or really interested in what was happening. The visuals are goofy, but not like funny goofy. All the CGI blood and even the design of the predators themselves didn't look that intimidating to me. Like the predator masks just looked goofy. They looked like Halloween masks, which ironically they are used as Halloween masks in one part of the film.
I mean, in the beginning, I was kind of hopeful that at least this would be kind of like some schlock, where it's just you go and see the predator do predator things. And I mean, that's the entire purpose of why everyone wanted to see the movie, it was like, yeah, you just want to see the alien kill people. But then you get there and it's like the first 20%, I was like, okay, I'm a little bit intrigued, I'm a little bit interested, but then they had all the ingredients in there to actually make quality characters and all that. Like, they were setting it up. Okay, so bear with me. So in the bus, when you get introduced to everyone, like this, I feel like that this was lazy writing, but at the same time, like they could have gone a completely different direction with it and actually made them interesting. So like the basic 101 screenwriting thing is like, okay, let's give all these characters a quirk, and then that's their character.
Right.
Because
they're all gonna die in a few minutes anyway. So you want to build the most efficient connection to each of them as possible, so that the viewer feels something when they die. That's the basic idea.
Yeah, and so with that, it's the guy from Key and Peele. He's in it, and he's like the laughing guy, and then there's someone who has Tourette's and all that. Like, they all have these basic functions that don't necessarily really make them characters. But I feel like that it would have made, like, for a fun kind of like action film at least, if they actually like we had more time with them and they were more interesting. But then they were just kind of throwaway characters. They just didn't really add anything to the plot. I don't know, it's really hard to talk about this because it is such a lackluster film. All the other films that we've watched were interesting. There was actually something that you could hold on to, and this one, it just kind of jumped around a lot.
There's not much you could easily tweak to make it good. I think you'd really have to rewrite it. So if you start the movie somewhere around where, the main character, he meets his buddies, you have a few minutes of it maybe before that, but get him with the buddies really quick. Yeah. Oh, hey, this is the team. Then, honestly, just rip off the Predator. Rip off the original movie, I mean.
Yeah.
Because that did everything so much better.
It did. This film was not intellectual at all, and that's what I missed about the original Predator. Like, Arnold Schwarzenegger goes in, he has to use his intellect and, his and, put all the mud on himself, and because the Predator uses the heat-seeking thing. And so, he actually has to be intelligent. And in this movie, when they're trying to fight the Predator and, Predator 2.0 or whatever, it's just fire more guns at him. That'll kill him.
Yeah, and why did the invisibility suits suck so bad? You could always see him when they're invisible. You could always see the shimmering, it wasn't scary at all. Like in the original, it was portrayed in such a way that it was scary.
Yeah, except when the plot demands it in this one, because the main character puts on the cloaking suit when he's trying to deliver things to Mexico or whatever, and then you don't see him at all. There's no outline of him. So there was this whole fear factor present in the original one. They were trying to make a scary kind of action film, and I mean, it worked out pretty decently. But now with this one, they're like, oh man, what can we do to make this better? Oh, let's have a bigger, badder predator that has space dogs. And that was like, why space dogs?
That was weird.
That was so weird. Like, we didn't come here to see space dogs. We came here to see the predator. And then Olivia Munn is like, no, the space dog's our friend, or one of the guys. And it's like, but that didn't go anywhere.
Dogs are often used in movies to
elicit a cheap emotion.
Right, exactly. And they definitely did that in this movie. They got into how, okay, predators are apparently like harvesting human DNA to improve themselves, I guess, in some way. What's with the dogs then? They were like predator dogs, right? So are they using human DNA with dog DNA? Like, what's going on there?
Not even that, but it's also the idea that, like, these are supposed to be the most feared hunters in the entire galaxy.
Yeah.
Why would you need dogs? You've seen the predator, and you know what it can do. It can murder an entire facility. Like, we see that, like, you know, they have the alien down in the bunker or whatever, and then it comes up, and then it's like, oh, I'm the predator. And that even felt lackluster.
Yeah.
You know, like, it just, the action really fell flat, because this is the first time, in this movie at least, when you get to see the predator, like, how strong it is, and, like, how lethal it can be and all that. But there's no real presence of that. It's just like, oh, look, he woke up, he's killing everyone now. Like, I really wish that they would have been more tense with that moment, where, like, the scientists are like, oh, shit. Yeah. You know, and... yeah, and also just the plot was so lackluster. Like, so why is the predator here? Like, why is he killing everyone? Like, oh, he wants his stuff back. That's it. And then when the original predator dies, and then Predator 2.0 comes in, then the plot changes again, and it's like, oh, he wants to go find the spaceship because the first predator went rogue. And he wanted to deliver something to the human race, but then why did the first predator want to kill everyone? You know what I mean? Okay. He just kind of randomly shows up.
At the very beginning of the movie, you see a predator ship, two ships in space chasing each other. I guess they're both predators. And one of them opens a portal, goes through the portal, and then he's landing on Earth. And you see him walk through the ship, and the predator walks by it, and the camera's just slowly zooming in on it, like, oh, there's something behind there. At the end of the movie, they do reveal that it's the predator killer suit or whatever.
That's a big issue with a lot of films, especially now with things where it's like, you know, aliens or anything like that, is that Hollywood includes characters in these films that we don't really care about. So, like, the Transformers, like, I don't care anything about Shia LaBeouf or any of these human characters. I just want to know what's going on between the Autobots and, you know, Decepticons or whatever. I don't care about these human characters. And the same thing happens in this one, where these human characters kind of get in the way. And then they also try to make the military a threat.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with Transformers. You know, they have the military as a threat, and it was just, why are you trying to make the military a threat? Like, I just want to see the Predator, like, do the Predator thing. Like, you're in the way of all this cool action that I would much rather be seeing.
Yeah, and man, the main character, like, murders tons of military personnel. And apparently that's all brushed aside at the end, like, oh yeah, you killed like probably a dozen or more soldiers. Yeah. I guess they were like army soldiers or something, right? And yeah, that's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the scene when he's talking to his son, and his son's like, "Are you a killer?"
Yeah.
And also that scene, that's when the film was trying to convince its audience that it had a heart to it, and it didn't at all.
Okay, so as I understand it, the predators harvest DNA, human DNA, and put it in their own bodies and get stronger or something. Yeah. That seems completely separate from the idea of predators hunting for like sport, right? To be killed, you know, a certain way is like an honor. That seemed to be the main mentality of a predator. But now I don't think this was in any other Predator movie, right? The DNA harvesting thing?
No, that's never been brought up. Yeah, and that's the weird thing, is that this movie was kind of advertised as a hunt, you know, where it's actually like the larger predator is hunting the smaller predator, and that might have been interesting to see. But
I'd prefer that should have been the movie. Like,
it should have been.
It should have been about this smaller predator who's like, why is he a rogue? What is predator society like? Like, what is going on there?
But then we have to have Key in there doing his stand-up routine that got rejected by producers, because that's what it felt like. It just felt like that he was doing his stand-up routines. Like, they're like, hey, it was like Muslim McCarthy and Happy Time Murders.
Yeah, I feel like writing jokes is like dead these days. Instead of writing jokes, the directors will just say, okay, the cameras are rolling, go, be funny. That's then just the improv.
And you know, that was really jarring in this film too. You would have those scenes where it's like you could tell that it was written and like they were trying to make it go somewhere and such, but then all of a sudden you would have these jarring moments where it felt like that it was just thrown in there. So the scene when Olivia Munn wakes up in the hotel or whatever, and then one of the characters who has Tourette's says something about pussy. And then she's like, oh, you said about pussy. Oh, no, he didn't say anything about pussy. And then it's just like, it's this thing that goes on for like 2 minutes and it's not even funny. And it really stagnated like what it was trying to do at least.
That does feel like the sort of moment where like, as they're filming it, that's like a natural thing that they're just bantering during one of the takes. Yeah. And the director's like, oh, that's really funny. We got to put that in. And that was extremely awkward.
There is a controversy that was going on with this film because there was a real predator in the film.
But they took him out.
Yeah, they took him out, and I think I know when it was, and it's when you first meet Olivia Munn's character, because that was just kind of forced, it felt like. It just kind of came out of nowhere, like Johns Hopkins University, and then it shows dogs playing everywhere. And then all of a sudden, oh, look, it's Olivia Munn. Like, there's no introduction to her character, like, we don't really get to see, like, what's going on in her life.
It's pretty abrupt, yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of happens, and Olivia Munn requested for that part to be taken out, so I'm sure that's what it is. But it's nothing I would really be interested in revisiting.
Well, no, it was such a long movie too. Like, it was a good 2 hours maybe. It dragged quite a bit. I thought the practical effects looked really weak in general. Like when the kid's holding like the mask and the wristband and stuff, it looked like plastic to me.
Yeah, it looked like something that you would buy off of Etsy.
Yeah,
it was just really cheap.
Right. So it didn't look scary. Like, even though they're working with this concept of a kid wearing Predator's gear as a Halloween mask, like, I don't know, you could make it look more intimidating and scary. Like think of some sort of horror villain, like, so say he finds like Jason's hockey mask or something, and you're wearing that. Like, you could film that in such a way that it's like scary, like to the audience, they're like, oh, that's not right.
Yeah, it looks really goofy, and not to mention the CGI just looked god awful.
Yeah.
The CGI was just horrible. Whenever they showed like bigger Predator, like every time he was on screen, it just was so jarring. You could definitely tell that he just wasn't there. And again, that's what made the original Predator so much fun, was that you actually got to see like these practical effects and how they would make them and such. And this one, it just like there was hardly any Predator in it. It was just watch these annoying characters that don't matter run around.
But they did nothing to build up how scary the Predator was either. Like, I think in the first one, you don't see the Predator for like 45 minutes or something, and then it builds up to it. But in this
one, the Predator's just on a table.
Yeah.
that's the introduction to the big scary monster.
And like, I thought that the movie had this like very like pro-military or like pro-war tone to it.
There was a patriotic speech that happened at one part in it about the wife trying to talk about her husband, like, oh yeah, they tried to throw in that there was some drama going on in the family where it was, he may not be a good father, but he's a great soldier. And then you hear these soft trumpets, like, in the background, like, burr, 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 and, oh no.
There was a few moments like that that were really cheesy.
Yeah, it was like someone who worked on Top Gun was like, we gotta keep it going, before my Top Gun 2 comes out. Yeah.
I just found this movie really boring. My brain felt like it was kind of melting and like kind of settling down in my skull. Like it was about to start like sloshing out my ears. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. You're sitting there and you wish that you could have put your hands into the bag of popcorn, but then you realize that popcorn costs $15 for a large and then you didn't buy it. And then you'd have nothing to do but look at the film.
This did feel like work. Like, this is the sort of film that if I wasn't doing this explicitly to talk about it, I would have stopped watching it.
Yeah, I would have walked out. Like, this is just... It really, like, there was nothing substantial. And you know what's interesting about it is that there are films out there that people will buy and then they will just get like the little like 5-minute clips out of it that are cool just to put on YouTube, or like, oh, this is a neat scene to watch or something like that, just for a few minutes. But there's nothing like that in here. Like, I want to go and see the Predator do Predator things, and you didn't give me any of that.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that someone's gonna upload on YouTube. Like, hey, remember this cool scene from the Predator? Like, nothing stood out. Like, it was boring. It was stupid. The only thing that hooked me a little bit was at the very end when it was just turning into absolute schlock. And that's when they were just putting on like the Predator outfit.
Oh, eh.
To me, I don't know. I was laughing really hard when that showed up because it was so stupid and so over the top and so idiotic that I just loved it.
I didn't get there for me.
Okay.
I like.
You were just done. You were angry.
It seems stupid.
But see, it was stupid. But for me, that's why I liked it so much because I was like, oh, this is so bad. It's funny. You know.
To me, it didn't get that far. It just stayed in the bad zone to me. Like,
all right, okay.
I didn't get a feeling that it certainly wasn't trying to be silly.
It was just really stupid. I would not recommend this film. No.
I really don't know why someone would make a movie like this. Like, who were they trying to serve? Like, who was this movie for?
Mm-hmm. Like, what was the audience?
Did they think they were making a good movie? Like, were they shooting this movie like, oh, this is awesome, this is badass? Or like, did they think that the characters would be interesting? Like, I don't know. I try to think, like, what were they thinking? And I can't figure it out.
And it's surprising because the director directed The Nice Guys, the other guys, I forget exactly what it was called, but that was actually a really well done film. Like, I really enjoyed that. It had Ryan Gosling in it, and I think it was Russell Crowe. Yeah, it was decent. And he's directed like one or
Iron Man 3?
Yeah, Iron Man 3, yeah. A lot of people hate that, but it's usually because the fanboys are like, I didn't like what you did to the Mandarin.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, I haven't seen it since it came out, but I recall enjoying it.
Yeah, so, I don't know, it's kind of depressing, but oh well. Onwards to another shitty movie that no one else wants to see except for us.
Do we want to see another shitty movie?
Tune in next week for another review by Movie Stubs. We will be releasing content on shitty movies that we don't really enjoy, and we're going to do it with smiles on our faces. Right, Chris?